Good morning, and welcome to a very special episode of Celestial Sundays here on Shady Pines Radio. I am Moonlit Britt, and I hope you all had a fabulous Halloween or Samhain last night, whatever it is you celebrate. I know this year is a little weird, but I hope you were able to enjoy it in some way. I did a small ritual to honor my ancestors last night and definitely felt the energy of that insane full moon. So it was a very, very cool evening. So last night was All Hallows Eve, which means today is All Hallows Day, also known as All Saints Day. It is also often called Hellemus or Feast of All Saints. In the Christian church, it is a day commemorating all the saints of the church, both known and unknown, who have attained heaven. In Roman Catholicism, the feast is usually a holy day of obligation. The period from October 31st to tomorrow, November 2nd, which is All Souls Day, is sometimes known as All Hallows Tide. So last night was All Hallows Eve, today All Saints Day, and tomorrow All Souls Day. All Souls Day is in Roman Catholicism a day for commemoration of all the faithfully departed, those baptized Christians who are believed to be in purgatory because they died with the guilt of lesser sins on their souls. So some of you may be more familiar with the Mexican holiday, Day of the Dead, which is their customary celebration of All Saints and All Souls Days, which is November 1st through November 2nd. They say the veil between the living and the dead is the thinnest at this time, and so communication or access to spirits comes very easily right now. So I have a special treat for you guys. I thought this would be the perfect time to talk to an expert. I am so excited to announce that today we have a very special guest here with me on the line, and that is my friend, psychic medium, Seth Michael. Hi, Seth. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Hello, what a pleasure to be on your show with you. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. I'm just so grateful that you said yes and were willing to come on here and share some of your insight with all of us.
Oh, I'm very happy to do that. I don't know if there's really any experts in this field, because there's so many different varying perspectives on different things, but I definitely have learned a lot that I can share.
Yeah, probably more than some of us know. So, but yes, good point. No experts ever, right?
Yeah, not in this field.
So is this veil that we discussed between the living and the dead, is it really thin right now? Is there a reason for these holidays?
I do feel that, and then it might be some of the energy that is happening due to people's thoughts about this being more of a scary time, Halloween, more focused on ghosts and things like that, could be making the veil thin itself. And with all the different energy of the planets and everything going on there, that could definitely be part of it. I don't know too much technicalities on that, but I definitely do feel a little bit of a difference around this time.
Okay. So what label or description do you give yourself when a stranger asks you what you do for work?
Right now, I say spiritual advisor. Normally,
Nice.
I don't mind saying psychic medium, but I'm taking a break from readings right now, so I just stick with the spiritual advisement.
Okay, that's awesome. We all need that help. I know.
Yeah.
So, well, in the realm of psychic mediumship, what was your first experience with being a psychic medium, whether you realized it or not?
I don't know if you would classify the empath ability as psychic, but I know I had some of that going on when I was really young, maybe before 3. I had a lot of emotional outbursts, and I feel like I felt a lot looking back.
Right.
And so that would be it. And then I had imaginary friends.
Okay.
And I was really afraid of the dark when I remember being in my crib, and I remember feeling things that I could not explain.
Oh, wow. Wow. So what age was it when you realized you had a special ability?
Early 20s. I
Really?
didn't even realize what I had until somebody said, "Hey, you're a medium, right?" And I was like, "What the heck is that?"
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you just kind of go through life noticing that you're different,
Oh, yeah.
than most people. And it's just something that we don't always comprehend or can grasp until sometimes later in life, and sometimes it comes on later in life too for people.
Right. That's such a trip. So that whole time you're just functioning and going through life with this gift.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Which could, how they say gift and curse. It felt more like the negative part because I didn't have skills or tools on
Right.
how to manage things. So I did go through a lot, especially in the beginning when I first started acknowledging it, and then it automatically opened more. So a
Right.
lot of things, seeing spirits everywhere, at the bus stop, on an airplane, everywhere. It was too much showing up in my bedroom at all hours of the night. It was
Wow.
crazy.
Wow. So, which brings me kind of back to what you said about imaginary friends. So, was this like a ghost or spirit or some entity that you spent a significant amount of time with in your youth, and did you think it was that imaginary friend, or can you elaborate on that a little?
Sure, I remember a couple with of them in a certain house, and it was a blonde lady that had mom had really cheap childcare because I had these spirits to play with, but she just thought imaginary, friends. I had a great imagination,
Uh,
and and so it's just a lot of different elements that show me that they were spirits. Anyway, I was going on we were playing something with this tall blonde lady. I
okay.
was playing some sort of pretend. We were going somewhere, and all it was into the hallway,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I needed to tie my shoe to get ready to go. And I remember hearing put reminders on what to do,
Uh huh.
on how to tie it. And she was so excited. I finally did it. It was the first time I did it on my own, but I think she had kind of helped with just being
Wow.
there and supporting. So, and then another one is Mr. McGovernment. That
Okay.
was a time Mr. McGovern was around
Okay.
and on the news.
Okay.
And so I didn't know the spirit's name or the imaginary, quote unquote imaginary friends. I'll say invisible friend's name.
Right. Right. There
But he
you go.
came through the door and he had a suit on. And so I said, Mom, can we have him for dinner? So she set a plate for him at dinner time.
Oh. Oh, how lovely. Your mom sounds like so sweet. Oh, I love that.
She
That's
was
your son.
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So the blonde lady that was helping you with tying your shoe, do you think that that was, how would you call it, an earthbound, or do you think that was like a spirit guide?
I do believe it was an earthbound spirit
Okay.
that maybe just needed a little bit more to do before she crosses, or maybe she was there to protect, or whatever her reason was. But I don't recall feeling any sadness or anything from her. But when I look back into my adult mind, I feel like there was sadness or longing or missing something.
Oh, wow. How that's such
I
a
have
cool.
a feeling she had crossed since then.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, I wonder if she's crossed. Um,
Yeah.
I had an imaginary friend too when I was little.
Oh,
Adamantly,
you did?
I did. His name was John, and he was as real as can be to me. And I've thought about it as an adult looking back, like I wonder who John really was. And do you
Mm-hmm.
remember the last time that you saw yours? Because I remember the last time I saw John. I feel like it was a bubble. It was like a balloon that got popped for me. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I mean, this is about you, but it's really interesting.
No,
I,
no, it's cool. Yeah, add
I,
whatever.
I, uh, I was 5, and we were over at my grandmother's for Thanksgiving, and of course, the whole family's there, so seating can be a little snug, you know. And I had my
Uh-huh.
little plate of food, and I went over to the love seat, and that love seat was empty. I sat down with my plate, and the space next to me was open, and John was sitting there, and I'm eating my food, and my cousin comes over, adult cousin. You know, I was a kid, and I was like, "Oh, don't sit there. John's sitting there." And he looked at me. He's like, "John's not real. I'm sitting here." And sat down, and it really upset me. And my mom had to kind of say, "Hey, people need to sit. This is Thanksgiving. You can't be reserving the, the couch for your imaginary friend." And in that moment, I mean, I really was sad. I was really sad because John was very real to me. And then I never saw John again. So I don't know if it was my imagination or if he was a spirit. Who knows?
It said that can happen where kids just normally and naturally can connect because they don't, like animals, they don't have any preconceived notions that they can't,
Right.
or any judgments on that. They just know that, hey, whatever this is, I'm
Right.
seeing it. So
Who
so
knows?
that it could have, like when you say burst your bubble, that could have changed something in your mind that you shut down.
Right. I think so. Because it definitely was like, and I'd heard my parents refer to him as my imaginary friend. And so that's just what I knew. But something about the way he said it and did it, and just to me as a small child, the level of disrespect he showed to John, just meant that it just was like, oh my gosh. So anyway, back to you, darling. Okay. So
Yeah, I was talking to a spirit once, and we were with these people. They were kind of skeptical, and this one guy so where is she sitting? I said, right there. So he started giving her a lap dance.
oh my
And I thought that was really rude. I got really upset with that. Everybody was laughing.
Yeah, like me right
And
now. Sorry.
but in my mind, I was like, okay, because she had gotten up.
Oh.
She's like, look at this fool.
Right. Okay. I don't want you gyrating in front of me. Yeah. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
she goes, they don't get it.
There's a level
No,
of
they don't.
respect there, right? They were
Yeah.
human once too. Like,
Yeah.
let's have some respect. Well, I can see why that would be disrespectful. I'm sorry I laughed, but it was kind of like, oh, but then you think
that's okay. I understand.
But back to the questioning. Sorry, kind of diverged there. But when did you begin doing this work professionally? Since you found out that this was actually a gift and not everyone saw what you saw.
Right after I learned that I had it and I started testing it, so I started doing readings. It would be no charge. It would be friends or friends of friends.
Right.
It was best to test with people I didn't know. And then things were coming back to me like, wow, remember when you said that this whole scenario was going to happen? Yeah, well, it did. For
Wow.
example, one was this kid really wanted to be a cop. That's all he thought about, is being a police officer. He was a teenager.
Mhm.
And his mom had come for reading. And so I said, I keep seeing locksmith, or being an apprentice, or I know, and I thought I was wrong. I'm like, because he always wanted to be a cop. There was no budging him. And then it was years later, she got a hold of me and said, he is a locksmith apprentice right now, by the way.
That
I'm like,
is
what?
so crazy.
It's just things that were really what is it, specific,
Right.
that I was getting.
Right.
Like scenarios on, you're going to meet this guy and go in a limo and you're going to go over here, and things like that. And then finding out it really happens, like something's up,
That is
and
insane.
spirits coming through and saying names and things that I wouldn't know.
Right.
Because I was skeptical on myself too,
Sure.
and I didn't call myself a psychic medium till way later.
Right.
Many, many years.
You needed your own validation. You needed to actually see your gift in action, when you're just starting out, to make sure that
right, because it could have just been my mind. It could have just been me guessing that, or not connecting.
Right.
But then there was too much that I couldn't guess at. So it left me boggled, like, well, I can't explain it. So something must be going on. And then I've always been a spiritual person, and purpose kind of came to mind. Like, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a while, I was getting very drained. People were coming to me out of the woodwork. It was way too much. And somebody said, you need to start charging. And that was like, I don't know, many, many years into it.
Right.
And I didn't even know what to charge. So I did as minimum, as possible. And then just kind of noticed that people weren't taking advantage of me as much, and they were listening more.
Right.
Because they were exchanging energy. So I would even, I would even exchange food, because it was an exchange of some sort of energy or artwork or anything like that.
Yes. You've definitely given me some readings for food.
And you've definitely given us some awesome chicken enchiladas.
Everyone always asks me to make the chicken enchiladas. I call them my white girl enchiladas because they're so white. I have all that heavy cream sauce. They're so good. Oh, anyway. But yeah.
Oh, and then it was the donuts or something. What was that? It was so good.
Oh gosh, there were a couple things, huh? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think there was cheesecake or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just remembered it tasted really good. I just can't remember what it was right now.
I can't either, but I was like stoked. I'm like, sweet. And to elaborate on that, the readings you gave me were mind-boggling, spot on, like in the craziest of ways. And and I'll talk about, we'll come back to that in a little bit about how you and I came to meet, because that story is pretty interesting. And if you want to talk about validation, this guy's a psychic. No, this isn't a joke. It was pretty crazy, but we'll leave that for later on. But with this, when you decided to start, actually doing this, when you realized that, yeah, this is legit, did you get any kind of professional training from someone that knew how to do this, or someone to guide you?
I did have a friend that told me, that said, you're a medium, right? She started helping me, showing me what my abilities were. She'd show me pictures of people that were alive or passed on, and then I would read them, and I would find out, I would come up with all these things about their personality or things that they used to say, and it was helpful to know if they were alive or passed on, but most of the time I could get, okay, this feels like a spirit, so I think he's passed on, kind of thing. And I was getting pretty much everything right on. Wow. In more than what you can guess at. So she was showing me that, and she told me some things that earthbound spirits, how they're similar to ghosts, where they can move things. They have missions still to do. They're a heavier energy, heavier vibration or frequency, as they call it in my field. Feeling. So if you're an empath, you would feel more of a heaviness.
That makes sense.
Whereas someone that crossed, you'd feel more light. So of rock energy versus feather energy, where they have let go of their earth purpose and move on to a more spiritual purpose.
Okay, that makes so much sense. That really resonates with me. That earthbound that still has unfinished business or whatever, a lot of feeling, would feel heavier than someone who has actually been to the other side to see that everything is okay and go to the light, so to say.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So is there anything about your gift or your abilities that is unique from most other psychics or psychic mediums? Is it all kind of the same, or is it everyone have their own thing?
There are some similar abilities that people have. You'll have people that can hear. You'll have people that are very intuitive, so they'll just know things, and they're very fast talkers, like John Edward.
Okay, yeah.
And anyone else that just rattles it off, they're usually connected to that psychic information or the spirit information that's coming above their head. They're just like boom, 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 right in their crown chakra. Right on top of their head, the information pops in.
Okay.
And then you have people that can see things. So they may see a spirit, they may see the past, something that you've done. Spirits could show them things. So they say, hey, they're showing me this fishing boat and out on this lake where I see the sign saying this, whatever. And then there's people that can feel, so they can get a lot of information through the emotions and feeling, and then they can combine. Some people have all the abilities and they combine them.
Wow.
And it's really helpful too, because you might hear a spirit say, oh yeah, I'm a kid, and your gut is saying, oh no, you're not. Your feeling or your knowing would be going, that ain't no kid.
Oh yeah. Does that happen a lot?
Not too often, no.
That's good.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
And that go ahead, sorry.
But it helps to use the combinations so that you could get more information and also be able to relay messages too.
Right.
Because you want to get as much information as possible to show the person that, hey, this most likely might be your spirit. And I would say possibility. I would say this is possibly a spirit, possibly someone. Gotcha. But then in your heart too.
Right.
Like when there's things coming through, you just know. It's just like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling, I'm getting that this is definitely the spirit.
Right, of course.
You just something in yourself,
So how do spirits contact you?
they used to show up, but I have a rule that I don't allow spirits. They still get in sometimes, so I have to reinstate the rules.
Right.
Normally it would be when I'm contacting them, and then I'll let them come through.
Gotcha.
So when I'm open to contact.
And how do you perceive them? Like, is it, do you see them? Do you hear them? Do you feel them? All of the above?
Let's say I'm in a restaurant and I can feel like if you imagine a bubble around us,
Uh-huh.
an energy field,
Uh-huh.
I can feel it kind of open, like up, and then I'll notice something in that field, like almost like a laser light, and someone's walking through it. You're like, wait a minute, something's different. There's a feeling. And then like one time I was at a restaurant and I felt a tap on my shoulder, but it was in my psychic sense.
Gotcha.
And then I look, and in my mind's eye, I see a lady that I think she was fairly young. That she was obviously a prostitute. She was letting me know how much she cost. So that I heard that in my mind.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. So I've taken you up to a couple in the past to my work to help with us with some work up at my family's business. And I recall you as we pull up, I can feel you kind of like, I don't want to say get tense, but kind of a shift in your energy a little bit. And before I can even say anything, you had said, "Oh, there's this guy here. Oh, this is happening." Like you automatically like knew something. And the location up in Longview that I brought you up to, and that was incredibly interesting. We actually have video. My sister has video on the security camera of this bright orbish light that right on the camera. It's really trippy. And I should see if she still has that and posted it to my Facebook page. But
that would be cool.
Yeah, you had said that when we pulled up to that building that you're like, oh, there's a guy here from like, it was like, I think like the 20s or 30s, and it was a meat packing area, and his name was William, and that he wasn't ready to leave, but that he kind of was grumpy at first, but then he turned into the friendly ghost of the building. And my sister would walk into the building every day after that and be like, "Hi, William," and all the kind of creepy things that had been happening before him letting his presence be known. He got really kind and friendly, and it was almost like they like appreciated his presence. I don't think I've ever got to tell you that, but yeah. So there's been a couple different instances where I've been with you, and which also makes me want to kind of skip ahead to a question I had planned for later, but holding a full-time job with this kind of gift, wouldn't that be incredibly distracting and hard to do, like outside of offering readings? Like how could you, that would be really hard to have that kind of work when you've got, because every place has something, right? It seems like most places have some kind of spiritual attachment or something. Or am I way out? Am I wrong?
No, you're right, because I actually, the last job outside of what I do, I worked sometimes to help out at your company's place.
Right.
And I would notice something like behind me, and I would just say it in my head, like, "Oh, I noticed something," and then I'll look and I'll see if I see an image or something, and I'll just go back to work. And then I'll just focus on what I'm doing.
Right.
And then my mind might wander back. I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." And I'll bring it back. So you have to kind of take control of your mind, basically, where your focus is.
Right. That would definitely take some training. I feel like that would definitely.
And sometimes it helps to talk to them. They can sometimes hear you in your mind, I believe.
Right.
So you could say, "Could you please back off? I'm very busy," or just say, "Hey, I'm noticing you. Maybe we can talk later," or whatever. But just talking to them a lot of times, even if you're very scared, and if you're in your bedroom, you could just say, "Hey, I'm noticing something in here. Could you please back off or go out in the hallway, or please leave, go find the woods or find your family," or whatever comes to your mind or heart.
Right. Okay.
To try to step through that fear and then go to to, hey, just so you know, you're scaring my kids. You probably wouldn't like that when you were alive.
Right. Right.
And a lot of times they were just like, what? Oh, I didn't even know. I didn't even realize that was me.
Oh,
doing
really?
that.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that's all it takes sometimes, just some friendly talking.
Wow. Just being real. Just coming up from a
Being
human
real.
approach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if you know this, but you passed on.
Right. Oh, wow. Is that?
I've heard that the funniest answer to that is no shit.
Like, oh no. But for those that don't know, what a startling thing. And it's like, how do you not? They've got like blinders on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, at this time, I think we should hear a little bit about the other awesome shows here on Shady Pines Radio. That sound good to you for just a moment there, Seth?
Yes.
All right. Awesome.
But I want to feel fantastic too. I know. I'll listen to the Soju Hour, Sundays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with Poor Boy on Shady Pines Radio. Then I will feel fantastic!
Reflective Eclectic presents part 1 of the Woodstock Experience, including all of the performers and some of the atmosphere, on November 4th, Wednesday, noon to 1 p.m. Host Bruce Ryder will guide you through this historic event.
Everybody's ground getting comfortable now? Starting to fit just right? Sit there, look at all those people around you, get acquainted. Have a smoke?
Come enjoy some lo-fi hip-hop tunes on Saturdays from 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific Time with me, DJ Royal Fish, as I host
Liquid Hot Magma
on Shady Pines Radio.
Okay, we are back here on Celestial Sundays on Shady Pines Radio with my very special guest, psychic medium and spiritual advisor, Seth Michael. Hello, Seth.
Hello.
We were just having a lively and fun discussion about being a psychic medium, and I wanted to ask you about spirit guides. This is something that I'm just absolutely fascinated with. And how many spirit guides does the average person have?
What I believe I've seen around people is anywhere from 3 to amphitheater fulls.
Wow.
So could be 10, 15, could be 50 that there's access to. It all depends on what person is going through.
Really?
And what they've asked for.
Okay. So is there one spirit guide in particular that seems to always kind of almost like a guardian angel that always kind of just stays right there always, or do they phase in and out like you were saying per dilemma or situation?
There is, in what I experienced, there is one that's there the whole time. Some spiritualists call it hang on a second, teacher. I think they call it the teacher guide.
Okay, the teacher guide. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
I forgot what do I call you guys? You again? Main. I call him a main guide.
Gotcha. The main guide.
Yeah, it's so funny because I've experienced the guides and I've seen that they have different roles.
Uh-huh.
And then I've talked to spiritualists and they're like, oh, yeah, we name it this and we name it that. And they were like the exact same things, like nurse guide, I called healer guide, and on and on.
Oh.
It was so crazy. And then I found out the spiritualist religion is how they got that was a lot of people were experiencing things and they kind of just put it all together. So It's common experience to have guides that have different jobs to do.
Sure.
For us.
Like their field of expertise.
Yeah, and I was thinking of it like, hey, we were sitting on a cloud before we came down. It's like, hey, I'm ready to be a guide. And then be like, hey, you want to be mine? I'm ready to go down there. Now I wonder what the heck I was thinking. But at the time, I was like, hey, I got all this stuff to do. All this crap is going to happen, and I'm going to be right down there helping out.
Right.
Now I'm like, what the hell?
What did
I
I sign up
this
for.
another way.
I know. You've said to me in the past, you're like, this is the last time I'm doing this. I'm going to start doing the upper work from here on out.
Yeah, but then there's that companionship that I feel at all times. Even when I feel at my loneliest, I have a knowing or a feeling that there's something or someone is still there that has my back.
Absolutely.
And I
me
feel
too.
like everybody has that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would be wonderful if more people would be more aware of that, because there are so many people. I saw this beautiful piece of art online the other day, and I actually shared it to my Instagram stories. But and I'll share it again. But it's basically a crowd, and it's beautifully drawn. But it's a crowd, and they all have blindfolds on, and it's got a blue hue. Everyone's kind of blue. But then there's like a handful of people that are lifting the blindfold up, and like one eye's out, and they've got a gold hue around them, and then others that have the blindfold all the way pushed up, and it's like it's basically showing people that are aware of this other side that's there interacting with us and helping us and guiding us, while the other people with the blindfolds on are just kind of on autopilot. I thought that was beautiful. And the spirit guide thing, if once you tap into that energy, you can't untap. That's my experience, don't you think?
Mine too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, once you got it.
Yeah.
And there are people that have been trying for years and they still don't have it. And I try to explain that I think you might be trying to connect it a way that you're stronger a different way. Like they might be wanting to see a spirit guide, and they're just not seeing, but they might be having a knowing and they're doubting it.
Yes.
So it pushes out to the side like, nope, I'm not having experience. But if you open that sense up that you're automatically using daily, you can get that information like, okay, I might not see them, but I know they're there.
Right, exactly. And a lot of the time, isn't it come with just like a really strong hunch or intuition, like a gut feeling like I should be doing this or this should happen? And that's usually your guides, isn't it?
It could be guides or higher self, because the higher self I see as a guide as well.
Right.
That's us without the gunk.
Right.
It's us that is connected to God, the divinity, or the divine, great spirit, whatever your belief system is.
Right.
The universe, whatever you want, whatever you say.
Source, yeah.
To me, I always call God because that's what Mom taught me.
Same.
And
Same.
it just got used to it.
Yeah. Yep.
And I always felt like something is there. So
right.
So that's just what I call it.
So your higher self is so vital to honor your truth, and your higher self always knows that you're right.
Yeah, and the higher self knows sometimes we have to walk through the crap in order to get to a certain learning. Right. It's just very inconvenient. Like, I don't want to go through this. This is painful. This sucks. But then when you're willing to go through it and get to the other side of it with a perspective on, oh, that's what I learned from this, then it puts you on a whole different level and makes your higher self even more accessible.
Exactly. It's life experience, spiritual experience. And I do believe that ties in also, like, you have to go through these trials and tribulations and tests here on earth, and I believe that some of it is tied to your past lives and some karmic debts and bonds that you've created, and then also in this life you're creating new ones. So I think that's a key part of your higher self as well. And the spirit guides, like, another thing I was going to say real quick before I forget is lately I've been really tapping into ancestors. And that's, I think, pretty huge. But I also know that not all ancestors are there for the greatest and highest good. So you've got to really make sure that that's who's coming through for you. And because I think that it's really important that we honor them as well, because that's where we came from. What are your thoughts on ancestors?
I have most respect, and I do feel, I usually say God, Mom, Dad, and guides. I need help.
Right.
So I just called everybody. And then I just think of the ancestors, I don't name them all the time, but I think of them too. I think of a broader perspective, like anybody who wants to help fulfill the purpose through guidance that helped me do that with them.
Right.
So it's a feeling more that I'm open to that.
Yeah, and I was getting myself hung up on like, well, who are they? Well, of course you're not going to know who they all are. You weren't around. You just got to trust and know that the ones that are supposed to be there for you are gonna come through for you, is what I think. I hope that's
Yes.
right. Okay, so how would you describe a spirit guide's presence? I know that we kind of touched on that a little bit with like the hunch or the knowing, but is there a way for like someone that may be new to this to really go, okay, I think that's a spirit guide?
Guided meditation is the most common way to connect.
Right.
And then in that meditation, you would have yourself fully relaxed and be open. Make sure that your mind is open to anything happening. So something might pop in there that you just can't ignore.
Right.
Can't think of a description or I can't think of anything specific right now other than you may even just get a like, yes, I really feel this. Like this is it. But in order to satisfy your logic mind, you might not be getting too much for that.
Gotcha.
It'd have to be like on a psychic level.
Meditation really is the key with almost everything, isn't it?
What is it?
Meditation. Meditation's the
Meditation,
key.
yes.
It's
It's listening, where they say praying is talking.
right. I love that. Yes.
Yeah, I love that too when I heard it. It's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely. It's so true. It's just meditation has been a game changer for me. I do admit it's been a little bit harder to do now that I am a mother. I have a 1.5-year-old son that is, his name is Wesley and his nickname is Wild Wild West. It's that time of their life when they've learned to walk and crawl and they're curious about everything. It's, the curiosity of becoming a toddler. So my meditation sessions have shrunk, but it's still so important to try and get that mindfulness in. And I find myself practicing mindfulness just during the day in like little moments where I might feel like my patience is getting tested or whatever, and just kind of going, all we have right now is now. Just be in this moment and just relax. The past is the past. The future is unwritten. Let's just, you know what I mean? So, yeah, meditation.
It really takes you out of your head for a little while and gives you a break.
Sure does. That's exactly what it is. It's so vital right now. And so, yeah. So to anyone that's wanting to contact their spirit guides or get in touch with that realm, meditation's definitely the key. Yeah.
Yeah, and we can talk about this in a little while, but there's a online conference coming up presented by Port Gamble, Pete Ortega. I think I'm saying his name right. He's doing classes, and I'm doing a class called Spirit Guides and Higher Self.
Ooh.
So that's something that they can check into coming up in November, first week in November.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that just for a little bit, since that's perfect. Do you have what's your online presence? So if someone wanted to contact you about that class, or where would you tell people to go to get in contact with you?
My website is SethMichaeladvisor.com, or on Facebook, Seth Michael. I think I still have Psychic Medium on there for now, Spiritual Advisor.
Okay,
and
excellent.
Port Gamble Ghost Conference. I can get a Ghost Conference. I'm going to get a site for that in a second. Or they can just do a search, Port Gamble Ghost Conference 2020.
Awesome. What date is that on?
That's the first weekend of November.
Oh, okay. So that's coming right up.
Yeah, I think it's next week already.
Okay.
Next weekend.
Well, awesome. That would be really cool. Oh man, you guys, I just have to say from personal experience, Seth has done multiple readings for me, and for several people I know, and it's legit. So that would be a really, and just as you said, like on a spiritual guidance level, someone that you would definitely want to learn from, because the experience there is valid and legitimate. So I would definitely recommend that if you can. And what a fun little weekend getaway. That sounds awesome.
Right from your own home. It's all on Zoom.
Oh, okay. Well, oh yeah, Brittany, there is a pandemic right now. Hello.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we had to switch it a little bit, but this means anybody can go from wherever you are.
Even better. That's better for some of us. Like me, I was just sitting here thinking, man, I wonder if I could get a sitter or if I could bring the baby. I was seriously sitting here starting to think of ways I could go. So that's fantastic. How cool.
Yeah, well, if you, it looks like there's different sites available, and then you can go ahead and search that and different classes, look into that. So just have the listeners, all you got to do is look up Port Gamble Ghost Conference 2020, and then you'll see all kinds of different information on it.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
Just do a search.
Okay. So, and I do want to talk more about what you offer, like as far as workshops and events and things like that later on. So we'll definitely come back to that.
Cool.
But okay, now we were just talking off air about this a little bit, but angel encounters. Do you have any angel encounters? Like what's that like? Is that a presence that's a little bit different? And can you elaborate on angels a little?
It feels a little bit different than a guide. A guide would be 3 feet off the ground feeling for me, and an angel is up to the ceiling kind of feeling.
Gotcha.
So they haven't been where guides a lot of times have been in flesh, from my understanding. Angels never have been.
Right.
And they are also with us since birth.
Yeah.
Many people call it a guardian angel. My mom taught me to pray to guardian angel, and I'd always felt that presence.
Right.
Like something there.
Right.
Besides guides, besides my higher self.
Same. When I was a child, same thing. That was taught I had a guardian angel, and I always felt there were times that I would, as a small kid, be feeling scared or be feeling a certain way, usually a little bit of a lower vibration and just feeling kind of down and out or whatever. And I would stick my hand out with my palm up, and I would ask for my guardian angel to hold my hand, and I would feel tingles in the palm of my hand.
Wow.
Yeah, I loved it. That was I've always been very enamored of angels and hold them with the highest respect. I love them so much. And I actually came to see you once, and we were talking, like I said, we were talking about this off air, but it was one of the first steps in my broader spiritual journey. I had been gifted a deck of angel oracle cards from my aunt, and I had been consulting them and getting to know them and kind of talking with the archangels a little bit more. And I came to see you, and I brought my cards with me. And what happened when I walked through the door to see you?
I saw a really huge angel and had that feeling of presence. It was a lot of light. I remember that.
It was so cool because I remember walking in the door, and you had this look there. He has an office that's off of a salon in Camas, Washington, and his girlfriend owns the salon, and he has a space there. And so I entered through the salon, and there's people sitting there, and you have this look on your face. It was so great. Because I'm like, hi, Seth, happy to see you, and you're like, hi. And your eyes are like wide, and you've got this huge smile, and you're like, almost like a different kind of like hello than normal, like, hi. And I'm like, hi. And we go into your office, you're like, oh my gosh, Brittany, there is a massive angel with you right now. And the way I felt, I was just like, it was like the best feeling. And then I handed you my cards so you could look at them, and you told me how much energy of mine you felt on them. That was just such a pivotal moment for me in my spiritual journey many moons ago. So thank you for that, Seth.
Oh, you're welcome. That was so cool.
Yeah, that was really neat.
Great memories.
So to go from the opposite end of the spectrum with the happiness and the joy of the light presence of angels, do you ever get scared and like from other entities? And like, if you don't mind sharing maybe your scariest encounter ever?
Oh, sure. It's not the kind of fear that you would think. It's more of a layer of fear that a certain entity can kind of find in you and pull it out of you.
Ooh.
And meaning that you feel your body like, what the heck is going on? This doesn't feel comfortable. I want to get the hell out of here, kind of thing.
Right.
And at the same time, your higher self or your guides or whatever message you're getting, or intuition, whatever, is like, no, it's okay. It's okay. But there was a place in Seattle we went to, and Butter something building. I can't remember the whole name of it, but there were stories about workers going up on the certain floor that they had to keep leaving. They were getting freaked out. Things were moving. And mostly it was just really creepy feelings.
Wow.
And we were doing an investigation. And I remember at one point, it's like, get out. We have to get out.
Ooh.
And I don't know what the heck was going on, but this energy kept collecting and collecting. And it was dark.
Oh.
So I wasn't really afraid, but I knew we had to go.
Super intense and like powerful.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And then we knew it was negative.
Okay.
It was all concentrating and getting stronger, darker.
So to elaborate on the negative.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the good, the angels, ancestors that are there for us, and spirit guides. What about when you say negative, do you mean demonic or do you mean earthbounds that are dark, or both?
Both. But I don't say the word demon very much. I usually say negative entity.
Okay.
Because it could be anything. It could be like interdimensional. It could be an ET. It could be anything that has a not so good intent.
Gotcha. Yeah, because there's light and dark, right? There's got to be.
I believe so.
Yes.
Some people don't believe that there is any negativity, any negative entities. They think that it could all be from thought forms.
Okay.
So if you're constantly thinking negative, it could create its own entity, which I believe too.
Me too.
But I do believe there are entities too, because I've experienced them.
Right. Okay.
Hardcore.
Really? Do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah. Sure. It was when I first met Jill, my girlfriend, she was having some things happen at home. And I said, well, I see that somebody used a Ouija board and a broom, and she checked it out with her kids. She had girls, and no one said anything. And this was like a little time later, finally, their boyfriends admitted to doing a Ouija board in the room.
Okay. Right.
And everybody that stayed in there were getting these voices. They were hearing voices to kill themselves.
Oh my gosh.
They were getting very violent. There's a lot of holes in the walls in that room from the kids punching, and a radio was going off and it was unplugged.
Wow.
And then when I would come to visit, I finally experienced things outside of my head. I usually just connect with spirits on the inside.
Right.
This was hearing marbles from the outside being dropped and rolling on the upstairs from us. So we were downstairs, and we're looking at the dogs, and they're right there. And we didn't have any cats. And we'd go up there, we wouldn't find any marbles. But one time we did find a couple of marbles, and they were in a triangle formation.
Interesting.
And it was a lot of creepy stuff going on. When I was trying to connect with it, I would feel that fear being pulled out, like I wanted to get the heck out of there kind of feeling,
right.
Even though I knew I was okay. But there were definitely things going on. They said it was in third grade, 13, saying it was a kid, and then I knew it wasn't.
Right, okay.
But it took me a second to process that, and Jill had invited it out. Well, if you're a kid, you can come outside the room. Then we had the occurrences happening outside of that room, in her bedroom and all over the upstairs.
Wow.
Somebody suggested I say I bathe this house in the blood of Christ, so I tried that, and I hear ha ha ha. I'm like, oh my gosh! All right, here we go.
Yeah.
So it took us about a month to get it out, with just a lot of praying, calling in Archangel Michael, playing videos to get rid of things, and then finally it felt better in there.
Wow.
And then Jill, my girlfriend, she goes, wow, we should put together a paranormal team and do this for other people. And I said, hell no. That was crazy.
That's a lot of work.
But then I got a message from my guides saying, well, this is time. This would help people, so then we did it.
Nice.
And you were right there in the beginning.
I was.
Yeah, you were one of the original members.
That's right. I believe I went on 3 of the very first ones, but then it was just a time of my life that I couldn't continue, but you guys kept on, and you guys are still together, aren't you?
Yeah, 9 years.
Wow. We've known each other a minute.
I know, right?
Yeah, and the name of that group is White Light Paranormal Insight, correct?
Correct, yes.
And you guys, so the ghost hunting thing became quite a trend for a minute there. But one thing that you were noticing, and like Jill had mentioned, is that these people would go in to prove that the entities were there, but then they didn't do anything about it at
Yeah,
that
you
time.
definitely have something. Bye.
Yeah. At that time, I'm not sure how it is now, but at that time, there was no one that was really specializing in, okay, confirmation, and now how do we get rid of them? And that was where that came from. And you and how many psychic mediums are on the team now?
Right now, I think we have 4.
Fantastic. So with that, that's some concentrated power right there to go in and get these entities to where they need to go.
Yeah, definitely. Well, they're still pretty rare too, that these kinds of teams. There's not as many as I would like there to be.
Right.
But there are more than there was back then.
That's so
that try and then do it for free too.
Right.
So that's something that we never charge for.
It was pretty interesting, the places that we went, and you could definitely feel, there are times where you just feel it, and it's like, this is, you don't have to be a psychic medium in certain places to know that this place is haunted. You could just feel it.
I remember the first time, or one of the cases, this is the first time a spirit came to me about a case. And it was my guide, Andrew, and he's saying in his Irish accent, "Hey, we're gonna get ready to go see a show at a club or a bar." And remember that?
Oh yeah.
And then Andrew says, "Hey, there's a spirit that's bothering this one lady. She's blonde, petite, describing her." And then I called you, and then you contacted the manager, and she indeed was having problems.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that's how we got one of the cases through a spirit guide message.
That was insane. That place was, oh my gosh. And I worked there for a short time. I'm just going to say Ash Street Saloon.
Yeah.
Was, loved the Ash Street. Rest in peace. More than one way. But, that was a pretty, there was a lot of activity there at that location. Absolutely. And, came in and did what we could. Because it definitely made a difference. It took a minute, though.
Yeah, sometimes it does. And that's why a lot of teams don't do this, because it is tricky, the part that we do, and you cannot guarantee. And sometimes we cannot clear a place.
Right.
And we don't aim to clear everything. We just try to resolve the issue the best that we can. And sometimes it's a matter of saying, okay, they're going to stay here, but these are the rules.
Right. And that is so wonderful for you all, the entire team, to do that, because a lot of people don't know what to do. In everyday situations, we can call the police or the fire department or go to the hospital when we have things that happen. But what do you do when you have something paranormal situation? Most people think call a Catholic priest. I think that's like the first thing, or get some something to smoke cleanse the space with. There's all these things you can do, but there's not someone you can actually just call and say, hey, so that's really, really special that you're doing that, of being of service to others in that way. That's really neat.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So on that note, we're going to play some music and hear a word from our other shows. I like to play some ads here on Shady Pines, because Shady Pines Radio is filled with some amazing shows. If you tune in and listen to me only, I ask that you please tune in and listen to some of the other shows throughout the week, because I guarantee there is something for you. All kinds of music, all kinds of talk, whether it's about sports or about the paranormal like we're discussing, or rare vinyl items, or everyday, it just all different kinds of music and topics are found here on Shady Pines Radio. So please make sure to check them out. In fact, downloading the app is probably the best thing you can do, because then it's just readily available and you can play it just like you would play your Spotify or Google Play, YouTube Music, whatever platform it is you use for music. The Shady Pines Radio app is awesome. I definitely have a few of my favorite shows. So we're going to play some music right now, and we will be right back with Seth Michael.
Hey Alexa, play Spotify.
Here's Spotify.
Hey Alexa, play something good on Spotify.
Here's Spotify.
Can't find the word. Can't find the beat. Can't find the beat.
Hey Alexa, launch Shady Pines Radio.
Playing Shady Pines Radio.
Shady Pines Radio works with Alexa devices now, and Toast is helping us celebrate. Portland company Toast crafts customizable, design-focused wood and leather tech covers that elevate your gadgets with the perfect balance of grip, protection, and style. And we're giving away a one-of-a-kind Shady Pines Radio-themed laser-engraved maple wood encased Echo smart speaker created by Toast, along with a bunch of Shady Pines Radio swag. Go to our website, shadypinesradio.com, and click on the giveaway link to see the many different ways you can enter and win. Winner will be picked November 9th, so go now to shadypinesradio.com, enter and win. And thanks for listening. Now through Alexa.
Shady Pines Radio.
It's Everything and Nothing on Shady Pines Radio.
Run with it, buddy.
That's how we do the show every week. We just record it.
But I was like, God damn it, Chris Cox made me drop the soap.
Every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Shady Pines Radio.
Fuck it, have the UFO videos. It's the soft apocalypse. We don't give a shit.
Can we use that clip?
Yeah, sure.
Mind?
Like Chris Cox made me drop the soap. Go ahead, dude. Go ahead. I don't care.
Listen right here or wherever you get your podcasts.
Subliminal loving for the love of everything and the spaces in between. A mix of downtempo, ambient, experimental, and anything else I can get my hands on. Thursdays, 10 to 11 p.m. here on Shady Pines Radio.
Shady Pines Radio. Shady Pines Radio. Shady Pines Radio. Shady Pines Radio.
We didn't exactly have time to play music, but we did get some awesome ads in there. We are here on Celestial Sundays with me, Moonlit Britt, and special guest, spiritual advisor and psychic medium, Seth Michael. And we were just talking off air, and he has, oh my gosh, this is such a treat. He has EVPs for us to listen to. He's going to play some EVPs that they have picked up. If you were just tuning in, we were just discussing his paranormal group, White Light Paranormal Insight. They are a group of people made up of some psychic mediums and then just some everyday awesome helpful people that go and basically prove that there is someone either haunting or present at a location, and then they try to find a way to get them to the other side or out of the area. And when we were off air, he just told me he had some EVPs. I had asked about them, and I'm so excited. So thank you, Seth, for that.
Oh, sure. No problem.
Whenever you're ready, we'd love to hear them. If you want to kind of give us some background before you play them and maybe what we should be listening for, that'd be awesome.
Oh, sure. This was in January of this year. My girlfriend and I had gone to, it was a friend just down the street pretty much in our neighborhood, so it was just us kind of doing an off on the side thing. And I went through her house and I had seen a guy, and we were cleansing as far as burning sage and letting them know that they were safe and it's time to go, you know, if they're willing to, and just doing my regular thing. And then she took us in the basement, and I felt like somebody followed us, but I wasn't sure. And when we went down there, I didn't feel anything was already there. So I had asked her, you'll hear me ask, is there anything you want me to say down here, basically, or say? And she says, no, it's cool. But there's a voice. I think that's a whisper that comes over. It sounds male to me, and there were no other men there.
Wow.
And it says no. That's what I hear.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so let's see what you hear. Well, let me do this.
How exciting. I love this.
It's on our speaker.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Cool. Do you want me to say something down here, or do you think it's cool? You think it's cool? It goes right in between. Do you want me to say anything down here? And right away, it's a whisper. No.
Okay.
Play it again. Oh, do you want me to say something down here, or do you think it's cool?
Oh my god! Oh my gosh, Seth, play it again! Oh my gosh!
Play it again?
Yes!
Okay. Do you want me to say something down here, or do you think it's cool?
Oh wow! You're right.
He's like, no, shut up, Seth.
Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps right after
Don't say anything.
Oh my goodness, you're
I'm gonna live down here.
right after you described where to listen for it at, and it's saying, oh my gosh.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yes. EVPs blow my mind.
EVPs are electronic voice phenomenon. You don't usually hear it at the time. And then when you listen back, there's a voice that you don't remember being there, and you just can't place who could have been. So most likely we say that's spirit voices.
Wow.
You can't say for sure, but that's what we surmise when you can't rule anything else out.
No kidding. That's so crazy. Do you have another one for us?
Yeah, oh, definitely. So this one was from Astoria at a place called the Commander's House, where the Ghost Adventures had already been to.
Oh, wow.
And I did not see that episode till after because I wanted a clear read on everything. We were going through it, and Jill and I were in a bathroom that used to be a place where they made bread. Okay. First time, just going to play it. It's a whisper, and then I'll tell you what we believe it says.
Okay.
This little bathroom used to be where people made bread back in the day.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. I don't know if you're able to hear it. I say bread, but then later you hear bread. It's at the end, and a weird thing happened was it sounds like it's amped up, but I didn't do anything.
Oh, interesting.
That automatically.
Okay.
But that would normally be a sound as if somebody was making that louder.
Right.
But I didn't. So it's pretty interesting that happened. So I'm going to play it again, and it's right at the end.
Okay.
And we think it says bread.
Okay.
This little bathroom used to be where people made bread back in the day.
Yeah.
Ooh. I think I heard it there at the end.
Yeah, bread.
Yeah, play it again.
Okay.
Thank you.
This little bathroom used to be where people made bread back in the day.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so weird. Gosh. And when you find these, after you go back and you listen to these, it's probably just like, what?
It's at first it was when I first heard things outside of my head, like, oh my gosh, so creepy. But after a while, you're just really excited.
I bet. Yeah. It's
and then
evidence.
When you're listening back, your senses are kind of hyped up, so you wonder if you're pulling things in too as you're listening for them.
Right.
So it can kind of feel creepy when you're listening for EVPs.
Oh my gosh, I bet. I was always kind of nervous to like listen to EVPs. Like, I don't know if I can sit and listen. Like scaredy cat.
Yeah.
Do you have any more for us? Yeah.
These I didn't do these next three, but they're really good.
Okay.
And our team hosts a haunted tour locally, and it's called Kenton Station. It's in a basement haunted tour every third Thursday. Yeah. If there's not a pandemic going on.
Right.
And there had been a medium that was with us back in 2012-ish, somewhere around there, and she always got a ton of EVPs. So these are a couple of what she had gotten. They're just so amazing. Okay. You'll hear a voice, and that's what we believe is spirit. There was nobody there at the time, and we think that says, "Can you tell me if my mommy knows I'm dead," or something like that.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was right before the medium talks about flowers, because she's talking to the little girl.
Right. It was like immediate. The first thing you heard.
Yeah, I'm going to play it again.
Yes, please.
Oh.
that's sad.
And then do we think this is her again? Does she know that I passed on or something like that?
Wow. I wonder how... That is clear as a bell.
I know that I passed away, something like that.
That is clear as a bell. I can't even...
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder how old that spirit is.
I don't know. We'd have to ask the medium what she got, but when I'm listening back, I feel like early 19th century.
Oh,
so,
wow. And it's like...
probably around back in the day.
I wonder... And that's what thing I always think about. Okay, so you picked this up at Kenton Station, right, in North Portland.
Right.
And it's like, so you would think that spirit's parent had passed away too at this point, because like you're saying, it sounds like to you you're getting the feeling it's old, so there's some misconnect there, or it's stuck, or what brought it to Kenton Station, all the mysteries, you know. That's what I love about this realm, is the mysteries that come with it. Like, you want to know, you know.
Yeah. And then some people won't believe it unless it's like a hard science. I don't think it ever will be. I think there all will be that element of mystery.
Absolutely agree with that. Do you have any more EVPs?
That kid passed, or that kid that talked about being passed away, she had crossed. The medium helped her cross.
Oh, okay, that's wonderful.
So we've never gotten another EVP with her on again.
Well, that's wonderful. That's where she belongs. Great.
So I think she found her mom.
Good.
And then this one is from Kenton too. Our buddy Dave got this one. It says cry at the end.
Okay.
Nobody was there that had that voice.
Whoa.
You heard that okay, right?
Oh yeah, it was pretty clear. Cry.
Yeah. Did you want to hear it one more time?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Wow.
And then somebody moved like they heard it or something.
You know,
but no one had that voice.
It sounds like a child to me.
Yeah, it does. We have come across a lot of kids down in Kenton. Even once a year, there's this school that has a field trip going down to Kenton, and we talk about the spirits, and they've even felt a little kid.
That's so interesting. I wonder what was there that there would be so many children.
There was definitely some gangster stuff going on, speakeasy, and a lot of times prostitutes had kids.
Oh,
so they were running around doing God knows what, helping out with dishes or
right.
They probably put them to work.
Right, because where else are you going to put your kid? I mean, back then you gotta go do your thing,
Yeah, exactly.
Especially in that realm, you don't always have a strong support system behind you if you're usually doing that kind of work.
Yeah.
Back then, anyway. So.
Here's another one I caught. It's at Wellington. It is a site where there was a huge avalanche that killed a lot of people in the early 1900s. You can definitely look that up. There's even a book by our friend Karen Fraser, The Ghosts of Wellington.
Okay.
It tells the whole story.
Oh, okay.
And we were off the site just a little bit near a tunnel, and I felt a spirit, or saw a spirit right behind Kristen, one of our teammates. And so I say something to her, and then I believe we can hear something like, "Who is he?"
Oh, wow.
Whoops. Here it comes.
Sounds right by you, Kristen. Okay.
Oh, that kind of cut off a little bit, but I think let's try it again.
Okay.
Oh, technical difficulties.
Sounds right by you, Kristen. Okay.
Is it at the end?
Kind of fast.
Is it at the end?
Yeah.
I kind of hear it. I didn't like, not the other ones I've all heard perfectly. This is the first one where I kind of don't hear it. I know it's kind of hard to do that through a phone.
This would be more of a class B or C. Like the ones cry and the other third, they would call them class A because you don't have to do anything about it.
Right.
And the first one I showed you would be a class A, but it's a whisper.
Right.
Let's see if I can find something a little bit easier to hear.
Okay. That's such a, I've thought about doing my own EVPs in my own home. Which is kind of
Oh,
crazy.
yeah, that's probably not recommended unless you do a cleansing after.
Right. Well, the reason being is because I really do sometimes feel like my father-in-law is here, and he's a wonderful person. So I would be all right with. But also, we're in his old home. You know, his son pretty much inherited his home. My partner will.
Yeah, that
So
would probably be safe if you're asking for just the spirits that are in the house. Maybe ask your angels that you work with to block off any portals. Make sure that there's no way any other spirits can be called in.
that's great. That's good information to have and good to know, because I wouldn't want any. Yeah, I would only really want to contact my father-in-law, and but there's also the thing about, because I do feel his energy here, but I'm in his home that he was in for 30 plus years, surrounded by his incredible book collection, and there's so many things in this home that are just imprinted with his energy still. So that might be what it is, but the EVP thing is just so fascinating to me that we can pick up those I don't know, is it like, I've heard that there's EVPs of two different types. There's the kind where they're responsive, like they're communicating with you in the moment, and then there are other ones where it's like a loop tape over and over and over.
Residual.
Yes,
Yeah.
residual. Thank you. That's the word. And that's
Yeah,
because
sure.
it was such a intense energy in that moment for the words they were saying that it's stuck in that space. Is that correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's my understanding too.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your EVPs there. Let's get back to it. I'd love to hear them.
That's okay. This is when we would do a resolve, we call it, where we come in and we connect with the spirits and see if they're ready to move on or what they want to do.
Right.
And we asked for the kids to be gone. So this particular lady had a case. Our team was there, and the kids were at McDonald's, and they kept calling. Can we come home now?
Oh,
So you'll hear the phone ring,
Okay.
and then you'll hear kind of this whisper, this male, and we believe it says the kids want her back, or kids want back, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Kids want her back.
Oh, I kind of heard
So
that.
it's like, they want their mom back.
Right
So
after
you're
the
like,
ring,
yeah.
right? Oh, wow. Can you play it one more time?
Oh, sure.
Whoa. Okay, now I heard it. Right after the ring. Kids want her back or something like that. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is so fun. I hope everyone out there listening is enjoying this as much as I am, because this is fantastic. Thank you so much, Seth. I love this.
Oh, sure, no problem.
It's so neat.
So
Trigger warning for all of you on this one. Go ahead, Seth.
these might be a little hard to hear, but I do want to chance them because there's a story that goes along with it that isn't mentioned in a documentary that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
But the lady there this is a mom of it was an adult. Her daughter had a kid, and there were problems that went on, and she had committed suicide by a gun to her head. And they found her and everything. And anyway, the mom thought, I'm going to get a fresh start. I'm going to move into a new place. So she moved into an apartment, and all these weird things were happening. The computer CD thing kept opening. The phone would do funky things. I think she heard footsteps, voices, all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
So she got a hold of us, and we went in, and it turns out that her manager, that's right, before she called us, it turns out her manager said, don't you know what happened in that apartment? She said, no. A guy had shot his wife in the head and then shot himself in the head in that apartment.
After
And
she
had
just went
stayed
through
in
this?
there.
Oh, trigger warning. Oh, man. That sucks.
Trigger warning.
That's so
Yeah,
sad.
you might want to say that. But the reason, I don't usually get that specific, but because all of them died the same way.
Right. Oh, my
Is-
gosh.
And so Kristen, you can hear her doing an interview, and she asks, is there anybody with mental illness or experiencing something like that question?
Right.
And then you can hear the mom talking, but if you listen real closely, you might be able to hear something that has to do about like I did. That's what I hear.
Okay.
Okay, and here it goes.
Diagnosed or treated for mental illness. What's it going to be like? No, I'm just a grief reaction right now. Right. Well, in the past, I don't have a history of mental illness. Yeah, that's not like schizophrenia or anything like that. Those are the two questions I hate asking.
I heard it.
Really quick. Right after schizophrenia, I did.
It's at the end. Towards the end. I did. I definitely heard it. Would you mind playing that again for our listeners?
Yeah.
Thank
we
you.
feel like that might have been her daughter.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just a grief reaction right now. Right. Well, in the past, I don't have a history of mental illness. Yeah, that's not like schizophrenia or anything like that. Those are the two questions I hate.
Oh, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. And if you get if they get the DVD version, they'll hear the story of that from the mom.
Right. You know what? Let's talk about the documentary.
Okay.
Let's do it because this is a perfect time. So for all of you listeners out there, Seth actually has a documentary that was made about him called All Around Us. And tell us about that.
We touch on some of the topics that we talked about tonight. You'll see a recreation of the blonde lady that helped me tie my shoe and Mr. McGovernment.
Nice.
And so that's fun.
Yeah.
And then you'll hear some more things that have to do with how to tell if your child is seeing a spirit, and go into mental health issues, if there's a correlation between spiritual issues.
Wow.
We talk about negative entities, and that not everything is, I'll say the word, the demon.
Right.
Not everything. It could be grandma pissed that you're calling her a demon.
Right. Oh, man, yeah. So this documentary basically kind of gives everyone a view into your world and has many.
You were in it.
I am. Yep, exactly.
You were in it.
I am. Yep, I am, and it's so it has interviews with like me and many people that have benefited from your guidance and help, and as well as the people that you work with, your girlfriend. It's a really, really awesome documentary, and what an honor that a filmmaker made a documentary about you. What a cool
Kristen
thing.
Luciati.
Yeah.
I was very lucky that he went to a couple of readings, and he had been through filmmaking school and really wanted to make something. He thought it'd be a real quick, short documentary, but it turned out to be a full length. It's almost 2 hours.
It's awesome though, and he won awards for it. So very cool. So definitely. And where can they find that documentary?
allaroundusfilm.com is the site.
Excellent.
And right now, if you want to stream it, it's $10 only.
That's awesome.
And it's $25 for the DVD. You get a signed DVD and bonus parts on it.
Ooh, cool. That sounds like the way I'd want to go. I like that. Very cool.
Yeah, I like to have that too, something to hold.
Yeah, no kidding. So when this documentary, how did that make you feel? Like, what was the effects for you? Was it just like, did your guides have something to say about that? Like, hey, this is going to happen. Did you have any like apprehension at first, or were you all about it? Like, what were your feelings in regards to the documentary at first, and then maybe during and at the end?
I took some time to think about it, and I felt okay with it. It hasn't gone out real mainstream yet, and we don't know if it ever will. I'm not really getting much on that, but it would be cool if it did.
Sure.
I did have fears of it going. I did have fears about if it was way, more well known, then I would have more trolls.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm an empath. I'm very sensitive. So when people throw things my way, sometimes I can bubble myself up, but sometimes it still gets in a little bit.
Of course, we're only human.
Tinges, like, that didn't feel good.
No.
That kind of.
And today's day and age with the internet and the instant access to everything, it is something to definitely be cautious and aware of. Like, that's always something that I think about. And, everyone that gets super famous or is on that platform, they're dissected and judged nonstop. So I could totally understand that apprehension.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be way famous or anything like that, but it may get a little bit more well known as we go along. Like I think he was going to do Amazon or Netflix or something.
Right.
Try for that. So then it'll get a little bit more well known.
Well, it's beautifully made.
I'll just take it as it comes.
Yeah.
With, if anybody, I'll just let go of it the best they can, and that's all you can do. Know that it's not personal because they don't know you personally.
Right. No, it's a big world out there.
Everybody will get it because of the topic.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And as I was saying, it's beautifully made. It's well done. It's really, really lovely. So, congratulations on that. That's fantastic. That's so cool.
You.
You're welcome.
Thanks for being willing to talk about it.
Of course, always. I'm proud of you. I think it's fantastic. So, talking about being a medium a little bit, what is the most common message that you tend to get from the other side?
When the spirit has crossed, it's usually that they are okay and that they love the person that is receiving the message.
That sounds great.
And then I always joke about it too, because they'll make you wait. No, not wait. They'll make you work really hard. Like tell them this and remember, tell them, ask them if they remember this time that we went to the beach and they'll give information on that, like maybe what beach it was or which city or they might throw out dates and we're working really hard as mediums getting all this information through. Does this make sense? Okay, I'm going to throw this out. And then finally the message is, I love you. But it is really important that it's very important that they know that this information does go with the spirit. Like, absolutely. Okay, this is a huge possibility. This is mom or because of all the information coming out. So the person knows that we're connecting correctly.
Absolutely. It's pretty important. I think this would be a good time to just share real briefly. I won't get too in depth on it, but how you and I came to meet.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it was actually my ex-husband, another trigger warning for folks out there with suicide. My ex-husband, his mother took her own life, and it was obviously a horrible day. And he had passed out from, absolute emotional exhaustion on the couch. And I contacted Seth online. His girlfriend owns a amazing salon and very well-known salon in Camas, Washington. And he had just relocated here, hadn't you, from Wisconsin? And I was trying to do a connection with with Jill, your girlfriend, because she owned the salon and I had a small retail shop in downtown Vancouver and I wanted to do some cross promotion. And I had noticed that you had it on your page that you were a psychic medium. And so that night messaged you and you immediately said things. You contacted my mother-in-law who had taken her life earlier, and she was stuck. She didn't quite believe what she had done. And one of the very first things that you said was her nickname for my ex-husband, and you asked me to play the Beatles. Seth was a complete stranger to me. I did not know him. He didn't know anything about me. There was no way.
I think Imagine, wasn't it?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was these very key things that were incredibly important to my ex-husband between him and his mother. And that was the beginning of our friendship. You, through the whole process, were there for my ex with his going down to the home, looking for particular items. She told you, instructed you to have him find this particular ring, where it would be, all these kinds of things. And that's how I knew that, you were legitimate. I knew within talking to you within 5 minutes, the things that you needed me to say to her and do that were all completely her, very much her. And I'm happy to say that you did successfully guide her to the other side. So that right there is just like, I can't, the most, I knew you were legitimate. There was another time we went out to another suicide story. I'm sorry for everyone. Another little trigger warning there. I have a cousin, second cousin, who went to the cemetery where most of our family is buried and took his own life out there. And you accompanied me out there. It was about, at the time, 25, 30 years ago. No, about 25 years ago at the time that he had committed suicide. And you and I went out to that location where he did it. And you located him and you described the place he was, the house he was in, the state he was in. And he was kind of in a haze, a fog. He was just sitting or staring out a window, kind of like glazed over, and didn't really know what was going on or what he'd done, in a weird kind of purgatory almost. And you contacted him and told him what had happened, and you were able to get him to the other side too. You had him follow the light. And I remember you and I were standing there and you were doing your thing, had your head tilted a little bit and you were talking to him, and it was a very intense moment. And then, as an empath and as a medium, you have to feel all these things with these spirits. And I witnessed that in person. And then the craziest thing, you had me talk to him too. And then the craziest thing, the whole energy around you and I shifted and was so light and so easy. And as it's happening, I feel it. And I look up at you, and you, before I could even, this all happened simultaneously. You look at me and you go, "Did you feel that?" And it was like, "Oh, I did. I was just going to say, did you feel it?" And he's like, he went to the other side. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And that was like such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And, I called my father to confirm what you had described of the location in the house. And he was flabbergasted. He was like, to a T. He couldn't believe it. So yeah, you have an incredible gift, and appreciate that. So, which makes me think about this a little bit. You're feeling all these things, and you're helping these people that were once, human beings in flesh here on earth get to the light, and you're helping us that are still here, living, that are grieving and feeling these things. You help us too. So do you go through a lot of physical, emotional, or mental toll on yourself when you're going through this?
Well, yes. Sometimes it, especially with kids, and another trigger warning, when suicides, when, teenagers or 20s or any age of that, they come through and they've got so much sorrow still.
Right.
And then, but it's something about the younger ones that get to me, where one I did not real long ago, and I just cried. I just bawled after the whole thing.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's a lot to take on.
Yeah, it is, because you're feeling the emotions from the mom, the parents that are there, or the kids, and it was the whole family was there. So I took on their stuff. Or no, wait, for the first one it was the mom. So I took on hers, and then I took on what the person that had been in spirit form had felt.
Right.
And then my own kind of just feelings.
Gotcha. And do you get like really tired? Like fatigue?
Yeah, there is a danger that happens with that for any empath, even if you're just picking up on people, energy, and plus all the craziness going on in the world.
Right.
So that it's real common in planetary stuff, as you know about.
Right.
That could cause an energetic slump where people are just feeling really exhausted. And then sometimes there's physical stuff that happens. Like for me, I turned a certain age and all of a sudden my body stopped working the way it was. And I was getting sleep and I'd wake up like charging your battery on your phone and there's no charge. There might be 1 or 2 bars of charge.
Oh, how frustrating.
You're like, wait a minute, I just slept 10 hours.
Right.
But you feel like you haven't slept for days.
Yeah.
And that's kicked on. So I'm working with a doctor with that, but I found my abilities have shifted since then. So that's why I've been taking a break from mediumship and psychic readings, because my feeling is my brain slowed down. And it's a fast on when you're connecting with spirits and information. So people that have a hard time slowing their thoughts down, you're probably automatically connecting a lot of times in an intuition way. And that's where I got a lot of my information. So I can still get some things, but it's not to the caliber that I'm used to. And that's been kind of hard to go through.
I bet. After having...
Because it was my purpose. And then okay, now what? So I'm teaching and I'm mentoring, but I'm not doing the main things that I was doing was the readings. I had to stop group readings, and then I had a terrible experience when this was happening, and I was noticing, I was grasping, I had to work harder to get the information, and this lady really wanted a group reading. I said, I had reluctantly, hesitantly, I said, okay, but you got to understand, I'm going through something here, my abilities shifted, I'm going to do my best. They were so hard on me. They were just, I was getting things. I got like pancreatic cancer, and I got, things that make sense, but they wanted more. And I think I was presenting it like, well, does this make sense? And I'm getting this, and I was asking questions, and I think they kind of took that as I was fishing for information, but I wasn't. I was seeing things. And so it was like no charge kind of thing. And it's like, because I knew they weren't happy. And that was my signal, like, okay, I got to stop this now.
Right. And speaking from my experience, countless readings and from you and all the things that you've taught or told me, and things that I've experienced, and the confirmations and everything, not to mention your vast history and catalog of satisfied clients and a documentary made about you. I think we can all agree that this was something that you legitimately gift you have, and this might just be a moment for your body to reset. And like you said, you've kind of shifted a little bit, and you're going more towards spiritual, like coaching or leading, because you're drawing from those experiences that you've already had through your mediumship, that now there are things that you know now and that you can help others with on their spiritual journey, which I think is fantastic. And that might be a whole new realm of purpose for you, because there were times during readings with you that you would say things to me that were so profound, and I'd be like, oh, well, click, like light bulb. I'm like, oh, okay. And that was just like you and I conversating about, like, not necessarily about like someone on the other side, but just on a whole level for anyone in general, that are like almost like wonderful quotes you could pull up on Pinterest or whatever. You were saying these things to me, and it was like, oh my gosh, I really needed to hear that. So I think that that's wonderful that you belong in this realm, and your body might just need a little reset. So there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So
I'm trying to be patient, and it's hard because your depression kind of sits in, when things, your whole world changes.
Right.
And you kind of are lost and flounder around like, what the hell am I supposed to do now? Because with the chronic fatigue, it's really hard to do a traditional job at this point.
Oh, I bet.
So you just I just been praying and asking for help, and then I'm just waiting to see what happens.
You just gotta heal and relax right now, I think, is what's supposed to happen, and
I'm painting rocks a lot. Yeah.
You're an excellent painter too, by the way. You're really talented at that. And what a relaxing and creative outlet. You probably really need that, because when you have readings daily and group readings, and then the workshops you teach, that's a lot that you're giving of yourself to others, like you said.
It was 30 years of that.
Yeah, so it might be why your body's saying, okay, need a little break, let's paint some rocks and coach people on how to embrace their spirituality and things like that. I think that's a good thing for you, but I can understand how that would be incredibly frustrating, that that's something that you've always done, which actually I wanted to ask about that. Like, do you feel like it's a gift? I was going to ask you, is this a gift you want, or is it one you wish you didn't have? But now that you've had it, you know that this is definitely your purpose, and this is a gift that you do
want. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so cool having the inside track on things.
Of course. Speaking of inside track, any good luck or winnings from your gift?
I don't know if you remember, there was this time with Facebook that you have to put in a code sometimes to get in, and mine was malfunctioning, so I had to do it every time. And I would start to get the numbers. I'm like, holy cow, I got like one off, or One time I got them all on. I'm like, holy cow, I have to get to the lottery. I got to get a lottery ticket. So I raced down to the gas station, and I picked the numbers and everything. Not one. I'm like, what the hell? Tried it again. Not one. I'm like, wait a minute. And then I hear a voice say, you didn't really want to win, did you? And I'm like, no, I have an interesting block on money. I always did, and it's something that I'm working on. But it's an internal block.
Interesting.
And so, but when I go to the casinos, I most often win, like $60, $50, nothing huge.
But still, a little pocket
I'll
money.
use my intuition, like, oh, does this machine feel good? That kind of thing.
Right. Okay. Because I feel like
that does seem to work.
That's a common thing that poor psychics have to deal with. Like, well, why aren't you rich? Why didn't you come up with the lottery numbers? Why didn't you buy this stock? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's working. This wouldn't be a answer that would satisfy them, but it's working on a lot different levels than what people can really put logically. It's
right.
And what is our energetic level on? Maybe we're blocking it. Maybe we don't feel we deserve it. Whatever's going on,
right.
And it could be a personal thing.
Absolutely.
Or you're not meant to get it, or it would be, some people got killed from winning the lottery.
Right.
Maybe we don't want to.
Hey, B.I.G., he said, more money, more problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And money is such a human thing. You know what I mean? When it comes to the spiritual world, it's a very important tool, and it's a tool that can buy us a lot of freedom, but it is just a tool, and it's not everything. And it's true that the best things in life really are free. So
sure.
that's always made me laugh. But speaking of like other psychics, is there anything you disagree with as far as other mediums go, like business practices or methods, charlatans?
Some are shifty.
Yeah.
I got one lady that wrote in that said that there's a lot of clowns in the field or something like that. She's really looking for somebody to be, real. And so I contacted her back, and I said, you must have had a bad experience. And she said, yeah, this one lady said she had a curse on her, and first it was like $50, something like that, but it would cost $150 to remove it.
Oh, brother.
And then the price kept going up. But if you want this, it'll be $300, and if you have another psychic remove it, it'll get worse.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and some will be real on, and they'll be very accurate, and then they'll go, oh, now you have I see you have a curse, and I'm the only one that can take this off, and it'll cost $200 more. But then the person will be like, well, how did you know? I must, because you knew all this other information.
Wow, that's not cool.
There was this, that reminds me of this one too, where this lady was having a reading, and her experience with this guy was that he was way on with everything about her cat. And then he said, your cat's really pissed at you. He had passed away. So she's thinking this cat is really mad at her. I'm like, no, that is not what normal cats, not normal, animals don't feel that.
Right.
They're not going to be pissed at the person having to do with their death.
Right. Wow.
It wasn't their fault. It was because the lady had to go in for dialysis in the hospital and couldn't spend the extra time with the cat. Even though the cat was sick, she had to go be with the husband.
Oh, that's
so
really
the psychic
disheartening.
was saying your cat is pissed and won't forgive you.
Oh, brother.
And so you really got to watch really listen to what they say. And if something doesn't hit you right, then you're on, not them.
Oh,
then they're
yes.
off.
Got it.
Like if something just doesn't, wait a minute, everything was on until they said this doesn't, but the lady got into so much sorrow with it. So then a bunch of us got together and we gave all our impressions for the cat, and none of it was what that guy said.
See, and that's so crazy. That also just goes to show the power of suggestion and being told something, and you go in with this blind faith that this person is legitimate and they have this skill, and you take something like this, and it doesn't make it easy when that person's spot on with everything else, and then they hit you with something like that. So I love what you said about if you feel like this is off, then you're the one that's on and they're off. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, really just don't put them on a higher level, because
Right.
we're not on any higher level. We're just working like you. We just are maybe a little more open, and or doing something just a little bit different. But we're not any higher than anybody else.
That's-
don't take our word as gold. Just see what resonates.
That's a
and see
good piece of advice. Like, to just view you like, I know that there are some people like doctors, nurses, engineers, artists, that I'm not, and they're the same as me. They just have a different skill set. So it's the same way to kind of approach someone with the gift that you have. Are there any like famous psychics or mediums or anything where you're just like, I don't think so?
What they charge, we saw, and I have to say, when we saw Chip Up, he was way off that night. I don't know if he's usually, but he wasn't feeling good, and he was just ornery. He said F word to the people because a phone went off. And I told you to turn your effing phone off.
Who was that? I'm
and
sorry,
it was
the
an
phone
alarm to give his son ADHD medication. He just forgot.
Okay, so who was that? Because your phone kind of went out.
Oh, Chip Coffee.
Chip Coffee.
Yeah,
Interesting.
you think he'd be really cool, but he was mean.
He was mean, and then he got mad at someone whose alarm went off because they had to give their son their medicine.
Yeah, and he forgot to turn it off. It told you to shut your effing phones off.
Ooh, yeah, that's
and
not a
then
good vibe.
lady had to get up, and he stopped everything and made everybody stare at this older lady walking down the aisle, and the lady explains that she was getting sick.
Oh my gosh!
Because he didn't want anyone to get up. Like, he gave me a glare when I was going to go to the bathroom before it started.
Oh boy!
And I'm like, oh boy, I better sit down.
Oh.
And then when he was reading, it was a bunch of us mediums sitting together, and I'm looking at a spirit, and the spirit's like, what the hell? Where's he getting this stuff from? I'm like, I don't know.
Oh boy! So we had a bit of a diva that maybe was...
Yes.
Okay.
And the person that mentored me always said, if you get an ego, that's one way to lose it. If your ego gets bigger than your abilities.
Right. Makes sense. You got to stay humble because you've been given a pretty great gift.
Yeah, and it could have been just that night. I don't want to say a bad thing about Chip Coffee altogether. It's just, that was my experience.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, because on TV he seems so legitimate, so spot on.
Well, John Edwards was way on. Teresa Caputo was extremely on. Jane Brand Prague, he didn't do too much mediumship, so I didn't really get a big sample of him.
Right.
But as far as the famous ones go, I think they're doing. I just don't agree with the prices they charge.
Right. I hear you. Because it can
like
be a little crazy.
$1,000 for half hour, some crap like that. You know?
that's nuts. Quick cash grab. That's not a very spiritual approach.
No.
So, speaking of spirituality, what are your thoughts on divination? Are there different forms of divination that are safer than others? Is it something that anyone should just do? I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And divination, for those that don't know, are things like pendulum, tarot, Ouija would even be considered it. What are some other forms of divination? Even like wax reading, tea leaf reading.
I Ching.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, let's hear. What are your thoughts on that?
I think they're okay. I would be careful with like the Ouija board, because people have preconceived fears on that, and sometimes they could bring that some scary things happening because of their beliefs or fears. Or just not knowing what they're doing. So, because it's really important to always seal the place that you are in. Like, I'm just going to communicate with the spirits here, maybe asking guides to close any portals, to have it localized. Like, it don't want anything extra coming in, kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
And then making sure you're clear ahead, that it's not too desperate. If people are desperate to talk to their mom that passed on, they might use something like that, or do constant EVPs or something that might weaken the energy around them and could cause portals, vortexes, or whatever that could shoot out other spirits that you're not wanting to have.
Gotcha. So
it's important to have a clear space in your mind emotionally.
That makes a lot of sense, because you're bringing that energy with you. I have always avoided Ouija boards for a particular reason. I know some people don't mind them. I've always referred them to the back door to the spiritual world, where maybe some seedier types might like to hang out. Because it's just like, because like you said, there is a preconceived notion, and whatever we put our energy into manifests. So when you have a fear about something or a preconceived notion, and that fear is legitimate to you, you are manifesting something, is my opinion. So Ouija boards, I just, I have played with them when I was younger, and I feel like it's just a real easy way for a lower or negative, especially when you're kids and you don't know to ask for portals to be closed or ask for the correct protection. I just feel like that's everyone's own decision. But for me, Ouijas have always been something I've kind of avoided because it seems like a real easy way for something not so great to come along. I do pull cards and read my cards, and with the tarot, before every single time, even if I'm only pulling one card for the day, even angel card, oracle cards, I always ask for Archangel Michael's protection to surround my home, myself, my family, and his white protective light to guide out all lower and negative energies, and that only those for the greatest and highest good are welcome. And I usually will smoke cleanse my space and my deck of cards before pulling cards. And I would strongly recommend that to other people. Would you agree with that, Seth?
Oh, totally. That's great advice.
Yeah. So I just want to know, and pendulums, same kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's using your own vibration, probably from your higher self most of the time. But some people say that spirits can manipulate them too, or divining rods, dowsing rods.
Right.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with, but they're not. It's not always right either.
Right. Gotcha.
Sometimes it gives a false read, but there's also like tarot cards, like you said, and runes is what I used to use.
I love runes.
I used runes for many years just to get me open to start a reading, and then I would just wing it.
Runes are very straightforward.
Yeah, they are.
They're just like, this is it. That's been my experience. I like runes. I don't have as much experience with runes. It's something that I've really been starting to get into, and it's pretty interesting. So that's good to know that you're well versed in that area. I might have some questions for you, but I do notice that it's like really, it's not vague. It seems to be pretty to the point with runes.
Yeah, and I used to do that when I would do the hotline too. I would pull a few runes because I worked on, way back in the day, it was Dionne Warwick's Psychic Friends Hotline.
Nice.
They don't pay you hardly anything. They make a lot, like $2.99, $3.99 a minute. You get like 30 cents a minute.
Wow.
Or 25 cents.
No kidding.
Yes, but it's great practice because you're like opening up, and then bam, you close, you hang up the phone, and then you got to clear.
Wow. So a lot of that's interesting, Seth, not to interrupt you, but like legitimate psychics work for these hotlines then.
Yeah, well, I was tested a few times.
Wow.
For the lines that I worked on, and then later in like 2009 or something like that, I started again on one, and they tested me. They weren't as thorough as Dionne Warwick's was, but that was thorough. But then the managers told the dispatcher to tell me to keep them on the phone longer, and I said, I'm not going to keep them on the phone more than they need.
Right.
No.
So
then she fired me, Dionne Warwick's line, and then I got picked up on Mother Loves, where she didn't care.
Nice.
How long?
I love your honesty. That's so wonderful. And you've always been very honest about things. Like you'll say, every time I've gone to you, I've always asked about one particular family member. Every single time. My son is named after him. And every time you're like, I just can't get anything. You're always honest, but then you'll tell me, but hey, guess what? Great grandma's over here, and you describe her to a T. Like something else,
Yeah, you never know why they, sometimes they might be with a family member, they might be reincarnated.
Right.
And all their energies in that. It could be maybe they're just not meant to come through. There's a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
But sometimes spirits don't. But then to be open to somebody else coming through, like you said.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's always someone, but never the one that I've been trying to talk to for so long. And you're always very honest about that. And it's a very important family member that we lost way too young. But speaking of family, what about your family? Do you communicate with your family on the other side?
Oh, yes, often. One time I was focusing on them, and I saw them sitting in a house eating dinner together. They were sitting at a dinner table. I didn't see them eat, but they were sitting there all together. It was my aunts, uncles, mom. And so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because some mediums have said they experienced that on the other side. There's schools, jobs, houses, all kinds of things that people create on that side where they feel comfortable and how they feel comfortable doing that.
Wow, that's so cool. Who do you go to on the other side in your family the most to like consult? Your parents?
My mom, yeah.
Yeah.
And my dad, we had a really rough upbringing. He adopted me, and he was very old school, and I was not the kind of kid that responded well to that. And so we had fought, and it was very difficult growing up with him. And I said on his deathbed, I said, I'll forgive you, but I won't forget. Ooh, did he get pissed? And so, and then then he'd been trying to talk to me. I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to you. And I did a reading for my sister. He came through and he said, oh, by the way, I have a message for you. And he snuck it in there. I'm like, look, I don't want to talk to you. And so then later on, years went by. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to talk to you. And then we kind of hashed it out. And then I was able to let go.
Wow. So he's like passed on y'all still having your spirit. I'm not laughing at you. It's so interesting to me because how often do you hear about that? Like someone passes on and you guys are still hashing through it. They're on the other side.
Yeah,
You're like,
they can
listen,
still grow and process and everything on that side.
What a blessing for you. That's so wonderful that you're able to do that.
It was cool that we're cool now. Yeah.
We're getting close to the end here on the show, and I wanted to talk about obviously events that you do, but I also wanted to know if there are instructions that you give clients before a reading.
To not have any expectations.
Excellent.
Because like we talked about, you expect one spirit to come through. They have to come through. We were so close.
Right.
Well, there might be some reason that they just don't, but some others might.
Right.
So to just leave, and it might be somebody you're not expecting, like a great aunt, somebody, Lucille or somebody might come through that you're just not thinking of.
Right. Okay. So go in without any expectations and also
open mind.
Open mind. And you told me to not tell you too much. I remember being like, I want it. And you're like, shh, don't tell me anything. I need to know that I'm on.
It's important to get a clear read for us to be able to do that, because otherwise we're like, okay, did I get that from memory? Am I getting, where's that coming from?
Absolutely.
So this way, if you don't know anything, then it's like, okay, it has to be from them because you didn't say anything.
Right. Which makes total sense.
That's why when we had gallery readings too, on breaks, we would always go and make sure we were not hearing anybody talk. We'd put on our headphones or be away from everybody because we don't want to hear anything.
Gotcha. That makes total sense. And this I have to ask because I've come to you for this, and people go through this a lot, and it's one of the hardest losses we experience as human beings, and that's pets.
Oh yeah.
So very devastating when we lose these innocent, pure companions. And what is something people should know about our pets?
That their love doesn't die.
Oh.
And especially them, they don't have distress.
Right.
It's very, 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 very rare. And the only time that usually would be that if they were severely abused.
Okay.
And they're still in that mindset.
Right.
That's very, very, very rare, though,
okay,
in my experience, and the experience of Karen Anderson, who wrote books on it, and she was a pet psychic for many years,
okay,
communicator.
Okay.
And her too agrees with me on that. that they just like, oh, I'm different, and they don't even know how. Sometimes they just know they're different, but they still stay with us, and they might realize that, oh, I get to go now in places that I couldn't go into the store before. I couldn't do all this, so they can actually be with us even more.
Gotcha. So we should still communicate with them sometimes. We should still say hey to our passed on pet once in a while.
I think that's a good idea, yeah, or just have an image of them in your mind, just kind of really focus on them and see if you feel anything. You could put your hand out, and sometimes you might feel a change in temperature or tingles, or your hand might stop where okay, don't feel anything. Oh, I feel a pressure, something like that.
Okay.
I do that with a dog, and then I forget how tall he is until my hand stops. Like, oh yeah, that's right. That's how, and that's where I'm feeling the pressure is starting.
Nice.
That's how tall he was.
How comforting. That's so cool. And
it does help.
Animals are very, we have to really kind of rewire our brains to really comprehend it a little bit. But animals are very much in the moment. They're not thinking about, like you said, stressors or things that's going to happen next or whatever. They have their things that they love and they look forward to, like walks or are really food motivated or whatever. But isn't it true that they're just mostly in the moment?
Totally. I totally agree with that.
Okay. So that's what we should know about our pets when they've passed on. They're still with us. Love never dies. And they have no stress.
The moment.
What was that?
In the moment.
In the moment. Yep. And no stress. That's fantastic. Because someday when I cross the other side, I really do hope to be completely knocked over by all those beautiful dogs that I have lost and are waiting for me.
A case in point, a lot of times when human spirits come through, there'll be a dog or a cat that's with them, or the dog and the cat might come through first.
Oh, that's
and
so
they're
awesome.
Leading, so even there, and then they say, my dog was the first thing I saw. And it is wonderful because you get to see them up close and personal, like full color.
Oh, wow. That's so exciting. That makes me not be scared of anything on the other side. Well,
no,
Seth,
they'll be right there. They're right there.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm sure other people out there are really, really excited to hear that too. Before we wrap up, we only have a few minutes. Would you like to share about your workshops, retreats, lectures, anything that you want us to know?
Sure. The first weekend, which is next weekend in November, is Port Gamble. All you got to do is do a search on that, Port Gamble Ghost Conference 2020, and you'll find out all the classes. I'm doing a spirit guide class on that, and there's a panel that we're having psychic mediums.
Awesome.
You'll hear other people talk. And also we have, I do classes one-on-one. So if you just go on my website, is SethMichaeladvisor.com, or Facebook, Seth Michael Psychic Medium, Spiritual Advisor, and then just let me know what you're interested in. I can do spirit guides, basic abilities. We could do more advanced, or just mentorship. And I have a really good deal going on that too. So
awesome. I'll put some links on my page on my Instagram as well, where they can contact. So we'll do some cross tagging there and promotion there as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure. So Seth,
it was awesome being on your show.
Thank you. I'm so happy you agreed to it. Seriously, so grateful and appreciative. I can't tell. I'd love to have you back again. We could talk about other stuff if you're into it.
Definitely.
Yay. Awesome. Thank you again, Seth. You've been fantastic. I hope everyone out there in Radio Land enjoyed this little exchange we just did in this interview as much as I did. I definitely appreciate his honesty and perspective and experiences. Those EVPs were mind-blowing. So anyway, thank you again so much for tuning in. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Be sure to be safe and be kind. We don't know what people are going through, so always try and have a little bit of compassion. I love you all, and I will see you here next Sunday at 10 a.m. for Celestial Sundays with me, Moonlit Britt, here on Shady Pines Radio.
I'm only gonna say this once. Shady Pines Radio.
Aw, say it again, stud.
Okay, Shady Pines Radio.
I'm DJ Jesse Drip, and I'll be your host, bringing you the perfect microdose of psychedelic music spanning all genres from across space-time on The Melting Point. Wednesdays between 6 and 7 p.m. right here on
Shady Pines Radio.
This is Margie from Sensory Tangle, the show that's full of music, interviews, and inspiration for social change, every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. right here on Shady Pines Radio. Sensory Tangle is affiliated with the 501c3 nonprofit Guardians of the Vibe, which specializes in consent and bystander intervention literature and programming. And we want to talk to you on air if you are an activist, artist, change maker, or sex educator. Send us a message at email@guardiansofthevibe.com, and don't forget to tune in every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. right here on Shady Pines Radio.
Welcome aboard
the station wagon.
Every Sunday at 1 o'clock Pacific, Callie and Brian, that's me, invite a band or a solo artist to play a half-hour-long set. Tune in each week, drop some coins in the virtual tip jar, and get your Sunday afternoon live music fix.
On Shady Pines Radio.
Fox Force 5 in the mix on Shady Pines Radio. Thursdays, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time.
Spinning the freshest underground electronic dance music. Enjoy live DJ mixes ranging from house music, techno, bass music, drum and bass, hip-hop, and everything in between. Tune in online or on the app and join the community. www.shadypinesradio.com